we explain how KYKO identify the traits of a personality? High self-actualization, psychologically advantageous positive personality. If you score high in self-actualization dimension, you are hardworking, responsible, energetic, optimistic, high commitment, high integrity, goal-oriented, trustworthy, fair, reasonable, just, principled, and reliable. Average self-actualization neutral personality. If you score an average in self-actualization dimension, you can be fairly hardworking, quite responsible, somewhat energetic, pretty optimistic, averagely committed, a little bit of integrity, fairly goal-oriented, quite trustworthy, reasonably fair, quite reasonable, can be just, somewhat principled, and a little reliable. Low self-actualization, psychologically handicapped negative personality. If you score a low in self-actualization dimension, you will work grudgingly, lack initiatives, boring, unreliable, irresponsible, low commitment, bias, irrational and untrustworthy. High egocentric assertive personality. If you score high in the egocentric dimension, you will have high self-esteem, like challenges, competitive, ambitious, status conscious, dominant, lead, egoistical, self-image, confident and persistent. Average egocentric personality. If you score an average in the egocentric dimension, you will have average self-esteem, pretty challenging, quite competitive, a little bit ambitious, somewhat status conscious, fairly dominant, prefer to lead, quite egoistical, pretty like self-image, fairly confident and quite persistent. Low egocentric submissive personality. If you score a low in egocentric dimension, you will be modest, passive, subservient, humble, quiet, timid, shy, indecisive, accommodating, apologetic, a follower and low self-esteem. High sociocentric sociable personality. If you score high in sociocentric dimension, you will be affectionate, caring, friendly, humane, comradeship, supportive, helpful, cordial, warmth, teamwork, cooperative, empathy, nurturing and compassionate. Average sociocentric lukewarm personality. If you score an average in sociocentric dimension, you will be quite affectionate, a little bit caring, reasonably friendly, can be humane, can like comradeship, fairly supportive, quite helpful, pretty cordial, lukewarm, prefer teamwork, quite cooperative, a bit of empathy, can be nurturing and pretty compassionate. Low sociocentric asocial personality. If you score a low in sociocentric dimension, you will be lonely, aloof, uncaring, detached, insensitive, cold, isolated, guarded, privacy, unconcerned, lack empathy, asocial. High security low risk, play safe personality. If you score high in security dimension, you will play safe, ensure being protected, disciplined, detail-oriented, systematic, meticulous, precise, plan, stability, prudent, punctual, law-abiding, wants certainty, guarantee and organized. Average security moderate risk personality. If you score an average in security dimension, you will average in playing safe, wants little bit of protection, pretty disciplined, can be detail-oriented, moderately systematic, pretty meticulous, moderately precise, can plan, prefer stability, a little prudent, pretty punctual, moderately law-abiding, prefer a little certainty, prefer a little guarantee, average in organizing. Low security high risk, adventurous personality. If you score a low risk in security dimension, you are impulsive, reckless, haphazard, spontaneous, spendthrift, gambler, speculator, freedom, rule breaker. High complexity dynamic, complex personality. If you score high in complexity dimension, you are inquisitive, analytical, intuitive, anticipate, evaluate, strategize, influential, tactical, adaptable, flexible, secretive, foresee, perceptive. Average complexity personality. If you score an average in complexity dimension, you are a little bit inquisitive, can be analytical, pretty intuitive, can anticipate, can evaluate, somewhat strategize, can be influential, pretty tactical, can be adaptable, pretty flexible, a little secretive, can foresee, can be perceptive. Low complexity static, simple personality. If you score a low in complexity dimension, you are naive, gullible, overtrusting, self-revealing, vulnerable, straightforward, easily influenced, victimized. Personality Profile Code. To obtain the Personality Profile Code, you need to take a KYKO online personality test. Dimension code. S. A self-actualization. E. Egocentric. SO sociocentric. SE security. C. Complexity. Magnitude code. H. High. F. Fairly high. E. Average. B. Below average. L. Low. Example of interpreting personality profile code. Personality profile code, HSA plus FA plus pluses plus VSO plus LC. HS. A high self-actualization. FE. Fairly high egocentric. E. Average security. VSO. Below average sociocentric. LC. Low complexity. Interpreting the traits of KYKO 5-dimensional personality. HS. A hardworking, responsible, energetic, optimistic, high commitment, high integrity, goal-oriented, trustworthy, fair, reasonable, just, principled, and reliable. FE. Fairly high self-esteem, prefer challenges, quite competitive, fairly ambitious, quite status conscious, quite dominant, prefer to lead, quite egoistical, often protect self-image, fairly confident, quite persistent. ESE. Average in playing safe, wants little bit of protection, pretty disciplined, can be detail-oriented, moderately systematic, pretty meticulous, moderately precise, can plan, prefer stability, a little prudent, pretty punctual, moderately law-abiding, prefer a little certainty, prefer a little guarantee, average in organizing. VSO. Quite lonely, fairly aloof, somewhat uncaring, quite detached, quite insensitive, fairly cold, somewhat isolated, quite guarded, prefer privacy, quite unconcerned, fairly lacking empathy, quite asocial. LC. Naive, gullible, overtrusting, self-revealing, vulnerable, straightforward, easily influenced, victimized. Identifying the person's character. KYKO personality assessment tool can identify the character, a list of traits, of a person. It enables the HR to identify the employees. Attitude, aptitude, natural talents, potentials, strengths and weaknesses. Conclusion. In conclusion, the character, list of traits, of an employee can be used as a guide for personnel selection, placement, training, motivation, retention, job fit, career path, succession planning, talent management, restructuring and many more.